NASCAR Speed Weeks are off to a bit of a chaotic start so far this season. Nick Sanchez has found a full-time ride for 2026, and NASCAR has officially launched their new Hell Yeah campaign. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Talkin NASCAR. I am your host, Andrew. Hope you have had a great week so far this week. Speed Weeks are officially underway, and they got underway late Wednesday night with the Cup Series qualifying, and last night with Cup Series with the duels at Daytona. So we're going to go over all of that and some news that I have missed from this week so far. So let's go ahead actually and start off by talking about qualifying and the Daytona Duels real quick. So Wednesday night, the Daytona Duels, and there were some headlines that were made. Now, it was pretty standard qualifying, single car qualifying. You make one lap around the track, and the top 10 in qualifying move on to set the pole for the Daytona 500. To make a long story short, the top 10 and the pole and front row would eventually go to Kyle Busch of Richard Childress Racing and Chase Briscoe of Joe Gibbs Racing, with Chase Briscoe getting his second consecutive Daytona 500 front row start in 2 years. So a lot of speed under the hood of that number 19 JGR Toyota XSE for Chase Briscoe. And for Kyle Busch, he gets another shot at the Daytona 500 now from the pole position. And for Kyle Busch, it's going to be many years of trying, over 20 years of trying to win the Daytona 500. He's one of many champions in the NASCAR Cup Series field that has won a championship, but not won the Daytona 500. So he is going to be looking to get that first Daytona 500 victory, this time with Richard Childress Racing, a team that is known for winning at Daytona. And some other notable headlines from Wednesday night's qualifying. The open entries, there are 8 total, but 7 that are that are needing to qualify their way in on speed. Jimmy Johnson, the one of those 8 cars that are already locked in via the open exemption provisional. He is using that to become the 41st guaranteed entry in the Daytona 500, which makes him ineligible for purse money and for points. So this guarantees Jimmy into the Daytona 500. And the 2 drivers that locked themselves in on Wednesday night in qualifying on speed and time were Corey Heim in the number 67 for 2311 Racing, 2311 Racing's 4th open entry, and Junior Motorsports number 40 with Justin Allgaier, the second consecutive season that Junior Motorsports will be running in the Daytona 500. It was very impressive to see what Corey Heim did with that number 67 team with Booty Barker on the pit box. Booty Barker, an experienced crew chief in the NASCAR Cup Series, is now a director in the management of 2311 Racing, but will come and crew chief that number 67 car for Corey Heim in his 12-race schedule this season. And the reason that was kind of surprising is because Corey Heim really separated himself from his 2311 Racing full-time teammates. I mean, Bubba Wallace did not have a great qualifying run, neither did Tyler Reddick, and neither did Riley Herbst. They did definitely not have the qualifying setup ready for Wednesday night. Now, in the duels, which we'll get to in a minute, they did run a little bit better, both Bubba and Riley Herbst. Tyler Reddick was nowhere really to be seen in the dual races on Thursday. But those were the big highlights. Justin Allgaier and Corey Heim locking in as open entries. So they were the 37th and 38th entries, and then the front row being set with Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe for Sunday's Daytona 500. Now let's move on to Thursday's night's duels at Daytona. And again, the duels at Daytona are the races that set the inside row and the outside row for the Daytona 500. The first duel will set the inside lane, and then the second duel will set the outside lane as well. So Joey Logano would pick up the first win in the duel number 1 race, and duel number 1 proved to be very, very chaotic, a bit of a wreck fest. So in duel 1, we had a little bit of a spin coming to pit road for the first green flag pit stop. Casey Mears driving for Carl Long's number 66 Garage 66 team, locked it up on the brakes, coming to pit road, entering a little bit too hot, tried to slow it down, ended up spinning out, caught the number 4 of Noah Gregson. Gregson was collected. Jimmy Johnson made some evasive action to avoid getting caught up in that mess and also avoid hitting pit road under caution, which would have been a penalty that would have sent him to the back. And while Noah and Casey Mears slid into the grass and were stuck, that brought out a caution. The drivers that came down pit road to get service on their cars completed their pit stops A-OK and were allowed to get back out on track. They actually cycled to the front, and there were mostly the 4 teams, and including one of them was Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, the RFK Fords pretty much with Corey LaJoie, Ryan Preece, Chris Buescher, Logano, Blaney as well were in that pit stop cycle as well. So that would be a pretty big blow to Casey Mears' chance of making the Daytona 500. He is one of those open entries for Carl Long that is an uncharted entry that needs to finish ahead of the other 2 drivers, which were Chandler Smith for Front Row Motorsports and Corey LaJoie in the number 99 for RFK Racing in their 4th entry for this race. So Casey Mears would end up having to go to the back 1 lap down after having that costly spin. However, it would not be the end for Casey Mears. He would still be able to come back out 1 lap down, and with 4 laps to go in that dual race, we got another pretty big caution. Bubba Wallace would actually get spun out while leading the field, got a pretty big shot from Austin Dillon, spun him out, collected uh, Chandler Smith in that crash. William Byron, Chris Buescher ended both their nights, and Chandler Smith was still able to continue with some front splitter damage that ended up putting him at the back of the field, and he was not able to go forward from there. It was a very hard hit for Chris Buescher into the outside wall. Hard impact for him after he got turned and caught up when Bubba Wallace came back up the track. That would send the race into overtime, so already we would get our first overtime of the 2026 season in the dual races. And now we jump to the first overtime restart with 1 lap to go after taking the white flag, so the race is official. Down the back straightaway, there's another humongous wreck, and one of those that are caught up is Corey LaJoie in the number 99 car for RFK Racing. Has a huge impact in the outside wall. I'm pretty sure he kind of got sandwiched in there. The outside lane got sacked up a little bit, sent one car down into Corey LaJoie. He spun up the racetrack, slammed hard in the outside wall, and Casey Mears in the 66 car was at the back of this pack. Was gaining speed in the draft, and instead of braking into that corner, he just went full send into the corner, and that number 66 car plowed through, nearly missed the number 99 of Corey LaJoie, and plowed right in. Actually made it, actually plowed straight into the back of Daniel Suarez, number 77, but kept it straight and ended up finishing the race under caution, crossed the finish line, unlike the number 99 of Corey LaJoie. And at the time of caution, Casey Mears was ahead of Corey LaJoie. He was in the middle of turn 3 and 4. LaJoie was stuck at on the apron at the entrance to turns 3 and 4. So Casey Mears officially made it into the Daytona 500. He outran both Chandler Smith and Corey LaJoie. He is now in the Daytona 500. I mean, it was wild to see. I mean, they had to make sure. They definitely took their time reviewing it, but it was unbelievable to watch. I was so happy to see that. It was one of the greatest stories. I'm so bummed out for Corey LaJoie. I mean, he was in the greatest position ever. He had all his teammates around him of Ryan Preece and Brad Keselowski, 2 very experienced plate racers, and Corey LaJoie himself is a very solid super speedway racer as well, and to get caught up in someone else's mess is just very unfortunate. And same thing for Chandler Smith. I mean, Chandler Smith last year was making a good case to race his way in with Garage 66 in the number 66 car last year. He came in to fill in for that team after Mike Wallace was denied the possibility to enter into the Daytona 500 and potentially make the show. And Chandler Smith was right there until he got wrecked himself. It was so sad to watch. It was a great effort by both Chandler Smith and Corey LaJoie, but Casey Mears, what a story for Carl Long's team, the small team, the little team that could. He is moving on into the Daytona 500. And moving on into Duel 2, it was very calm, unlike Duel number 1. They actually had green flag pit stops. A little bit of a chaotic mess at times, but everyone was able to get on and off pit road very, very safely. A little bit of trouble when cars were drifting back up onto the track and rejoining the field. But still, overall, it was very calm and orderly. And despite all of that, Chase Elliott would walk away with the duel number 2 victory, and this is where a little bit more of the drama kicks in. I mean, the finish to the duel was not very dramatic at all. It was pretty much Chase Elliott found his way to the front after cycling his way forward, ended up holding on to his track position after cycling off pit road first with Carson Hocevar in the number 77. Was able to block the rest of the cars that were flying by as he rejoined and was able to keep his track position up front, and same with Carson Hocevar. But the real story was the open drivers fighting for their spot in. It was between Anthony Alfredo, BJ McLeod in the 78, and JJ Yeley in the number 44. And we saw those drivers go up and down the order quite a bit. I mean, it looked like for a little bit that JJ and BJ McLeod were both fighting, and Anthony Alfredo was in that mix too. But Anthony Alfredo with Beard Motorsports, one of the better plate racing open teams, in my opinion, was not very present a lot of the time. It was mostly McLeod and JJ Yeley. I mean, BJ McLeod got up to the front at one point in that third lane, ended up having to cycle to the back, and eventually coming to the checkered flag. Anthony Alfredo was in front of BJ McLeod by a couple positions, and JJ Yeley was just starting to putter around the apron. I think it was a mechanical issue. He possibly had lost the draft. It was definitely very, very tough for JJ Yeley to continue at that point. So it was between McLeod and Anthony Alfredo. However, post-race, it was announced that the number 62 car for Anthony Alfredo had been disqualified and his time had been disallowed. Therefore, he had not made it into the Daytona 500, and BJ McLeod would advance in on speed. And the reason for the disqualification, according to NASCAR director Brian Moran, he said that there was an issue with one of the hoses on the transaxle axle of the number 62 car. One of those hoses that feed into the car was unhooked. So therefore, it was an issue that Brian Moran said that has been made aware, and those hoses are supposed to be plugged in at all times, and they were not. So truly heartbreaking stuff for Anthony Alfredo and the Beard Motorsports team, one of the fan favorite teams. They only have one full-time employee. That's their crew chief, Darren Shaw. Heartbreaker for them. I truly, really hate it for the number 62 team and Anthony Alfredo. The good thing for Anthony is that he gets the opportunity to still race on Saturday with Viking Motorsports in the number 96, but it's not going to be the same. Saturday's not racing. This is not the same as racing on Sunday. So I feel truly sorry for all of Beard Motorsports and number 62 team. Hopefully they'll be showing up to more races this year. I expect them to like Daytona in the summer, Talladega possibly. Just truly heartbreaking stuff, but congratulations to BJ McLeod. Probably not the way he wants to race into the Daytona 500. He probably would have preferred to, race it in himself, but he's not going to argue with the results, I bet. So congratulations to BJ McLeod. Tough break for JJ Yeley and Anthony Alfredo. They both will be going home. So the starting lineup for the Daytona 500 is set. Kyle Busch and Chase Briscoe will start on the front row, keeping their cars clean. Will not have to go to backup cars for Sunday's race. So Busch will be on the pole, and Briscoe will be on the front row next to him. And the 5 cars making the show as open entries will be Jimmy Johnson, BJ McLeod, Casey Mears, Justin Allgaier, and Corey Heim. I personally did not predict Casey Mears or Corey Heim to make it into the Daytona 500. I thought we were going to see Corey LaJoie in the field for one, and I think we probably would have seen him. And I was thinking that we were going to see Anthony Alfredo as well, but predictions go wrong sometimes. So congratulations to all those smaller teams that make it in, and we'll see them on Sunday, and we'll see how they perform. As for the dual winners, Joey Logano and Chase Elliott, they also will receive 10 points towards the chase this season and from their dual victories. And I'm so happy that the chase is coming back, because this, with the chase format coming back, points matter again. And for a while, it didn't matter that these dual races paid 10 points. But since we have the chase format where it's no longer win and you're in, points matter. Full season consistency matters. And so I'm truly happy to see that points like these matter. So that's really cool to see. So Logano and Elliott will start out the season pretty strong at the duels with 10 points each to their overall season totals. Let's move on to some other news regarding the NASCAR season and the NASCAR world. So, starting out in the Truck Series, Cletus McFarland has been approved to race in the Craftsman Truck Series opener at Daytona, assuming he makes the show, driving for Nice Motorsports in the number 4 truck. So, he will be driving that number 4 Black Rifle Coffee Company Chevrolet Silverado for Nice Motorsports tonight, later tonight at Daytona. This episode actually probably going up during the Truck Series race, actually. So, you'll see Cletus McFarland possibly out on track. So that's great to hear. I mean, Cletus McFarland, he truly embodies what is an American. I mean, he's probably the most American person you're ever going to meet. He's doing it for a great initiative. He's doing it to be like Biff. He was a very close friend with Greg Biffle, a team, and Greg Biffle was on his way to actually meet Cletus McFarland for a video and just to hang out over Christmas when Greg Biffle's plane crashed. So it was truly heartbreaking to hear if you're Cletus McFarland, but doing it for Biffle. All of Nice Motorsports actually will be running some Greg Biffle tributes with special number fonts. So not only Cletus McFarland will be having that special font, but Travis Pastrana will as well on his number 42 truck, who's in the field. Andres Perez de Lara in the number 45 truck, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another one of Greg Biffle's teammates when he drove for Roush Racing as well. And same for Travis Pastrana when he drove for Roush in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series back in the day with Ricky Stenhouse and Greg Biffle. Staying with the Truck Series real quick, Spire Motorsports announced that James Hinchcliffe, the IndyCar veteran, will be driving for their number 77 truck at St. Petersburg coming up in a couple of weeks. So we already have news that Dario Franchitti will be driving for Tricon Garage at St. Petersburg. Team Rams bringing in a IndyCar specialist as well to drive for their team. We already know that Jimmy Johnson's going to be driving for a Tricon Garage at San Diego later this season. Not to mention Tony Stewart's going to be driving for Calling Racing at Daytona later tonight. So the Truck Series field is becoming stacked very, very quickly. But really cool to see that NASCAR is starting to open the door up for these IndyCar racers as well. And I do wonder if this will open up the opportunity for drivers like maybe a Joseph Newgarden, potentially, maybe a Pato O'Ward, potentially, maybe a Scott Dixon, maybe to make some starts. Maybe Scott McLaughlin will get a chance at the Cup Series level. I know he's made some O'Reilly Auto Parts Series starts, but maybe he'll get an opportunity on the road courses at the Cup Series level. And maybe not just IndyCar guys, maybe F1 guys like Max Verstappen, maybe Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, guys like that. I'm really excited to see what this St. Petersburg race will have for all the names that could potentially enter and what this could do for more drivers potentially entering from open wheel racing in the future. Moving on over to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series real quick, AM Racing, who just announced a couple days ago that they are going to be returning full-time to the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series as their sale of the team over to Sigma Performance Services Racing did not go through. They have found their full-time driver for 2026. It will be Nick Sanchez. He will be driving the number 25 car full-time this season, so he will be starting this weekend at Daytona with the team, and just in the nick of time because we're in Speed Weeks week. This deal came very close together very, very quickly, I'm hearing as well. So AM Racing will be running a second part-time car as well at Daytona, the number 52. Daniel Dye will be behind the wheel of that truck, and he will be running a part-time schedule in that number 52 truck throughout this season. I'm really happy for Nick Sanchez. I'm glad that he's getting another opportunity with a competitive O'Reilly Auto Parts Series team. We saw what AM Racing did last year with Harrison Burton. He got into the playoffs in on points, so he did a lot of good work with that team last year. So I'm expecting similar things from Nick Sanchez. I am concerned with how this team is going to be selling and transitioning over to Sigma Performance Services Racing. I'm a little concerned that may have an impact on the team, but I really, really like Nick Sanchez a lot, and I was hoping that he maybe get an opportunity with Spire Motorsports, potentially full-time in the Truck Series. He didn't get that, obviously. There's a chance that he can maybe drive for the team part-time this year. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm glad that he's definitely getting an opportunity in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series after he was, in my opinion, unjustly let go from Big Machine Racing. Moving on, NASCAR announced that they're going to be rebranding the NASCAR Weekly Series, the NASCAR Weekly Wheel-In Weekly Series, and will be instead rebranding it over to the NASCAR Local Racing Series, powered by O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's nice to see that NASCAR is truly expanding on this relationship that they have with O'Reilly Auto Parts. Really recognizable brand O'Reilly is. They're already the title sponsor of NASCAR's secondary series, the O'Reilly Auto Parts series from the Xfinity series. So it's really cool to see that NASCAR is truly expanding on this partnership. But yeah, nothing more really than just a rebranding. And to end this episode, NASCAR has officially announced they are unveiling their brand new NASCAR Hell Yeah campaign. And they kicked it off yesterday in New York City with Ross Chastain and NASCAR breaking their a Guinness World Record for the world's loudest billboard, which essentially was a giant billboard with a NASCAR engine on it. And Ross Chastain was just basically flooring it. And that's where you get the loud noise from. And in my opinion, this is really good. I mean, NASCAR is starting to pick a side overall of what they want to be. NASCAR is truly returning to the roots of what they were. They are returning to the chase format. They're up in the horsepower. They're returning to local short tracks like Bowman Gray Stadium, like North Wilkesboro, like the Rockingham Speedway. Not to mention, still going to tracks like Martinsville, like Darlington as well, and this helps it. The world's loudest billboard, really focusing on yeah, we have loud engines. We're gonna go ahead and break the Guinness World Record for the world's loudest billboard. Here you go. So I think that's a really kind of creative, something that like is kind of gimmicky in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie, at least in my opinion, but I get what they're trying to go for. It's just very gimmicky in my opinion. But regardless, I am still very, very happy that NASCAR is picking a lane of what they want to be. So let me know down in the comments what you think of NASCAR's new Hell Yeah campaign and kind of business model, and what you thought so far of the NASCAR duels and what you thought of NASCAR Cup Series qualifying. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race will be live tonight on FS1 live at 7 p.m. I gotta quickly wrap up this episode and go upload it so I can go watch the race. So I will be covering this race later tonight. You can expect an episode probably to go up earlier tomorrow morning, most likely. Kind of giving a recap of this race. Remember, I'm going to be recapping every single Craftsman Truck Series race and O'Reilly Auto Parts race this season, so you better stay tuned for that. But besides that, thank you all for tuning in. If you did enjoy this episode, make sure you are liking and subscribing to the channel if you're listening on YouTube. If you're not listening on YouTube and you're listening on other podcast platforms, make sure you follow the show so you never miss another upload. If you want to go check out the YouTube channel, if you're curious, and if you go subscribe to there while you're there, I have links to those down in the description below. And if you also want to check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew, the other show I co-host with my buddy Miles, where we talk about baseball, football, basketball, so many more sports besides NASCAR. NASCAR will sneak in there every now and then, just in little snippets here and there. So if you want to hear me talk about sports, and Miles too, you want to hear us talking about sports, you can go ahead and check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew. Links to the Spotify page and the YouTube channel page will be down in the description below. But that will do it for this episode, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you very, very soon for a Truck Series recap from Daytona. See you then, everyone.